Speaker Johnson is out bragging about a spending deal. He says it's the best spending deal Republicans have accomplished in over a decade. Chuck Schumer is happy. Joe Biden applauds this deal, everybody. Well, what's in the deal? Come on, Speaker Johnson, show us the goods. He says it's the most favorable budget agreement Republicans have achieved in over a decade. The spending figures are $886 billion for defense spending and $704 billion for discretionary non-defense spending, plus a side deal for another $69 billion in non-defense spending. So really, it's $773 billion in non-defense spending. So what did we get in return? Well, he's bragging that he got a $10 billion cut to the IRS. This is a lie. This is a misdirection play. This is smokescreen. So the House gave the IRS $80 billion a couple years ago, and this extra money, and this is a $10 billion cut in the bonus money that the IRS is getting. So in addition, Speaker Johnson also got $6 billion cut from various COVID-era slush funds that are still around for some reason, $6 billion. So in a $6.6 trillion federal budget, Speaker Johnson is bragging to you that he got $16 billion of cuts. And they're not even cuts. They are cuts in the rate of growth. By the way, something massive is missing here. Yes, of course, actual spending cuts are missing. Actual budgeting practices are missing. Oh, that's right, the border. The border is in complete meltdown. Anywhere between 12 to 15,000 people are coming across the border every single day. Where's the deal for the border? You see, Speaker Johnson, he played all of us. Now, thankfully, he didn't play us here on this program because, we were happy he became speaker. Within a week, I saw that this guy is not cut out. He doesn't have the stones, doesn't have the spine. He uses the Bible as his worldview, but he doesn't act like it. He's not acting like a Christian. He hasn't acted like a Christian for quite some time. And I wish he would. He seems like a nice guy. Go run a Bible study. We've been saying that. But this is hard-nosed politics. Speaker Johnson, he cut a deal with Biden and Schumer over Thanksgiving. Cut a deal with Biden and Schumer over Christmas. Didn't have people to stay in D.C. to actually get the spending reforms done. And on this program, we said, hey, in January, there's going to be widespread capitulation. And ta-da, here you go. Widespread capitulation by Speaker Johnson. It is basically a worse version of the deal that we were fired up with Speaker McCarthy. We were so mad at Speaker McCarthy. And this is worse. This is a worse deal. The border is completely wide open. Speaker Johnson, what have you done to secure the border? Nothing. The border is a wreck. Our defense secretaries are checking into the ICU without telling anybody. Ukraine is failing. Biden can't put together two sentences and is comparing January 6th to Gettysburg and Pearl Harbor. Maybe you could use your leverage to negotiate something. But you have to have some nerve. You have to have some spine. You have to have some non-negotiables. Sit down and be a leader or get out of the way, Speaker Johnson, and stop telling me about how much you love the Bible. Every day, I hear this from people all the time. The kid gloves of some people. He's getting invited to all these different speaking events in the Christian world. Oh, well, he's a Christian. Where's the fruit of the courage of Speaker Johnson? Sex trafficking, drugs, fentanyl, 12,000 people a day. What has he done to secure the border? And you might say, oh, well, there's nothing he can do. No, there's a lot he could do. He could have shut down the government in November. At least show us that you care. Do something, man. We literally have border agents. Let me read this story from you. Speaker Johnson seems okay with this because he's bragging about this. He's bragging. U.S. Border Patrol agent under investigation after he was caught returning illegals to Mexico after they had already crossed into the U.S. near El Paso, federal government confirms. So the federal government that Speaker Johnson is helping fund is investigating Border Patrol agents for returning illegal criminals, border jumpers, back to the country of origin. So Speaker Johnson is saying, well, I got all these cuts. You got $16 billion in the cut of the rate of growth. You see, Border Patrol agents, they're supposed to actually provide concierge services to criminals, escort them in, make it easy for them. They're supposed to be an attaché. They're supposed to be, hello, Juan. Hello, Diego. How can I help you? What city would you like to go to? Almost like you're checking into a Four Seasons hotel. Hello, I am the concierge department. Would you like reservations at Chili's? Would you like a nonstop flight to Seattle? We sit down with these illegals, and the Border Patrol is supposed to be Expedia.com. It's a taxpayer-funded Expedia.com. Where would you like to go? Francisco? Where would you like to go? Oh, Philadelphia? Border Patrol gets in trouble for sending illegals back to the country of origin because they're supposed to be like travel agents. What city in this beautiful country would you like to go to? And Speaker Johnson, what a disappointment. And some people say, oh, they're saying that he's a Christian and he's this wonderful person. What is this? Is this how you're supposed to act? I have cut this guy so much slack, and you have too. And I haven't exactly been kind, and his team has been trying to reach out to me, and I said, you know what? I'm done with this. Enough of the back channeling, honestly. And I've just kind of ignored all of it. I'm being very honest with you. His team's been reaching out. Oh, could we set up conference calls? I said, enough. You guys are going to sweet talk and double talk me, and I'll probably end up, softening the blow. No, I want to see the results, man. I appreciate you guys reaching out. I appreciate that. It's fine. We are a country in the middle of a civil war, a slow motion civil war, whether you like it or not. Now, it's not a hot civil war, but you have two different visions for the country. If you want another read on the quality of this deal, Chuck U. Schumer and Joe Biden are celebrating it. They say it's a wonderful deal. Biden said on Sunday, quote, this is Joe Biden, the traitor to the United States. The bipartisan funding framework congressional leaders have reached moves us one step closer to preventing a needless government shutdown and protecting important national priorities. Joe Biden is thrilled with Speaker Johnson. Thrilled. Speaker Johnson's number one fan is Joe Biden. Number one fan. Freedom Caucus, thankfully, says the deal is unacceptable. And I got to ask, what was this whole motion to vacate thing? Why did we go through this entire thing? And then we get rid of George Santos? It's a clown show. This is a clown show, everybody. We deserve way better than this. You deserve better than this. Those of you that pay your taxes and work hard and you show up to work and you raise your kids and you go to church, you deserve a government far better than this. The Freedom Caucus pledges to try to block this. But what did you guys expect? You don't work in November. You don't work in December. As we say, where's that chart that we came up? The closer to Election Day you get, the more capitulation there is. Do you all of a sudden expect them to wake up in January and say, yeah, we're going to go cut hundreds of billions of dollars of federal spending and secure the border? Speaker Johnson is trying to gaslight you. Dare I say, he's just lying. It's a lie. And by the way, this actually might be true. The most favorable budget agreement Republicans have achieved in over a decade, that actually might be true, which goes to show what you've been getting out of D.C. So people say, but then Charlie, what should he have done? He has a narrow majority. Okay, here's what leaders do. And Speaker Johnson's not a leader. He's not a leader. Leaders are tough to come by. By the way, I'm reading the Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson. Elon's a leader. I'm going to do a whole show once I finish the book. It is an excellent book. You might love Elon or hate Elon. I don't want to hear anybody's opinion on Elon until you've read that book. Seriously. Or at least read part of it. You get a real accurate picture into who Elon is, what drives him. And he's a leader. Leaders are hard to come by. The Churchills, the Lincolns, the Caesars, the Washingtons, they're tough to come by. And look, moderates are a problem. But if you're a leader, and you're Speaker Johnson, here's the three things he could have done, even with moderates as Speaker. Number one, he could have prioritized that George Santos should not have been kicked out of the House. That's number one. He should have told the moderates to stop, saying, I'm not going to fund your race if you kick out Santos. He could have done that, even if it's a threat. Just say, we're not doing that. We're not going to neuter our own majority. Number one. Number two, he should have told Kevin McCarthy to stay in Congress. Bad look. He could have said, Kevin, listen, you don't have to show up for votes once every 2 months. He could have went and said to Kevin, I need you to stay. We cannot continue to shrink our majority. Number three, he could have at least pretended with a government shutdown. I do not understand what is this major fear they have about shutting down the government. We have been through several government shutdowns. We went through a government shutdown with Boehner, went through a government shutdown with Paul Ryan, went through a government shutdown with Speaker Gingrich, through a government shutdown with Trump and Schumer and Pelosi on the border. What is this incredible just opposition, this fear they have to shut down the government, especially over righteous causes? And the fourth thing, which I get pushback for saying this, but I'm going to remain committed to this belief, they should have worked through Thanksgiving and Christmas. Many of you had to show up to work over Christmas break. Flight attendants, pilots, in the ER, nurses, even many of you that worked in fast food, plumbers, electricians. You might have got a couple days off. Your elected officials basically got a 6-week vacation. And Speaker Johnson said, oh, don't worry. In January, we got you. And we saw through that right when it happened. We said, no, we've been around. I've been doing this for 11 years. I know a punting strategy, a delay tactic when I see one. You don't want to actually do your job, so you're kicking it to January. You're going to blame it on an election year, and you're going to kind of do a half deal. $16 billion out of a $6.6 trillion budget and a $2 trillion deficit. We are borrowing $2 trillion a year. $2 trillion. And we cut $16 billion. It's repulsive. It's actually insulting to all of you. This will guarantee the further deterioration of our currency, hyperinflation. This will turn us into a permanent debtor nation. And all of that is bad. But we could have put aside some of the harder to achieve spending reforms if Speaker Johnson could have been a leader, which he's not, could have been bold, which he's not, could have been courageous, which he's not, gathered the Republican tribes together and prioritized securing the southern border. You only have so much time on the scoreboard here. Time is running out, and yet he just gave that time away. That's why Chuck U. Schumer he couldn't believe that he didn't have to fight in December. Couldn't believe it. At the very least, they could have kept them in D.C. You could have put pressure on them. Speaker Johnson says, we're going to, all this ridiculous nonsense that it's this double speak. It's I'm better than you. It's this elitist garbage. Oh, we're doing a laddered CR and we're doing this add-on amendment process. I guess cut the crap, man. Okay. I've been around for 11 years. I've met many politicians. I know a fraud when I see one. Cut it out. You couldn't broker a deal. You start shaking like a leaf when you get into the room with Chuck Schumer. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever they want, they get. They're all praising this deal, and then you come out and you're like, well, maybe just let me take a little victory in the press conference about adding amendments and laddered CRs. Enough, okay? You know what real leaders do? You walk in with Chuck Schumer and say, what do you fear most? A shutdown? Well, you're going to get one. Thanks for dealing, Chuck U. Schumer. I'll see you on the Sunday morning shows. At least pretend to fight for the majority of the country that wants a border, that wants spending cuts. It's not like our priorities. I mean, I'd love to get rid of the Department of Education, all that. I mean, let's just take that aside. How about you even pretend to fight for the country, not try to spin this garbage? So Speaker Johnson does nothing when it comes to the southern border. And you have to go all in at some point. And if there was an issue to go...
Because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that